Recovering from narcissist trauma, narcissist abuse is one of the hardest things a human can go through. I've been there, and I want to share the three steps, the three strategies that I implemented that truly helped me get out of it because I was in one of the darkest places ever in my life. The first step that you're going to experience, the most painful, excruciating pain, because you've lost your identity, you've lost your soul, you're disoriented, it's the grieving phase. You're going to feel anger. You're going to feel resentment. You're going to blame. You're going to feel shame. You're going to feel guilt. Then back to anger, maybe even rage. It's going to be a very painful roller coaster. Allow yourself to feel all those things. It's a part of the journey. You have to feel those things. And the risk is we want to suppress those things because they're horrible. So we minimize them, we push them to the side, which means they never get processed and they will manifest at a later time. So please allow yourself to grieve. And during that phase of grieving, you're going to lose clarity. You might lack motivation. You might lose your appetite. You might gain an appetite. You might gain weight. You're going to lose all the things you used to love. The person you used to be might temporarily go out the window. Allow that to happen. One of the books that I read along my journey, The Grief Recovery Handbook. At the time that I read it, I was in such a dark place that I couldn't absorb any of the information. I wasn't ready because my grief was still so painful, so raw. And all I could focus on was how this person, my ex-girlfriend, had abused me to a point that I didn't know that such evil existed. And I simply couldn't fathom. And I kept asking myself questions. How can somebody do this? How could I allow this to happen? And I kept blaming, and all I could think about, I was obsessed with what had happened. Did they love me? Why did I love them? Why did I fall for it? Constant barrage of negative thoughts as I grieved. There were days that I couldn't get out of bed. There were days that I couldn't eat. There were days that I was enraged. There were days that I was numb. And it would just constantly go back and forth. So again, during that process of grieving, simply allow it. While you're going through that grieving, the only suggestion that I can share to maybe minimize that excruciating pain of narcissist recovery is to have empathy, forgiveness, and kindness for yourself. It's not easy because you're in a state of survival, pure survival, reptilian brain trying to navigate and stay afloat. Have empathy for you. So that's the grieving part. Step number one is grieving. Step number two is know thyself. This is an opportunity for you to go inward, be highly introspective, and start to understand who you are, who you used to be, who are you becoming as a result of the trauma. What do you need to change so that it never happens again? Have you developed more emotional intelligence? Are you now aware of the red flags? Can you now retrospectively see the red flags that you ignored? In knowing thyself, connect with your intuition, because your intuition was always telling you from minute one, this person is not healthy for me. They're not good for me. They're toxic. But we put it aside because we're focused on the romance and the addiction to the oxytocin and dopamine that we've been fed from this narcissist demon. So get to know thyself, reconnect with your essence, your soul. What are your core values? Who are you? And what do you need to protect moving forward? Where did you go wrong? What didn't you see? What didn't you do? And then analyze why you didn't put up the barriers, why you didn't set healthy boundaries, why you didn't walk away without beating yourself up. Know thyself so that it never, ever happens again. Become a conscious empath as a result. And what's going to happen is you might be coming towards the end of the know thyself phase, and out of nowhere, you're going to go back to the grieving phase. And the rage and the anger is going to come back. And that's all okay. Same process. Allow it to happen. Now you're in a better place. You can process it more quickly. but minimize suppressing or denying your emotions. They will manifest at a later time. So number one was grieve. Number two, know thyself. Now we get into the third step. When you reach this third step, this is when the healing truly becomes. It's honor thyself. And honoring thyself, you've established your core values. You now have an understanding of this new version of you because you're no longer the same person that you were. Something dramatic has changed inside of you. Connect with the new version of you. Now honor this new person. Protect this new version of you. Start looking out for yourself. Start understanding why this happened. Why? The reason why it'll happen is because you didn't establish boundaries. Maybe your esteem was too low. Maybe your self-confidence was compromised, and so you allowed this to happen. But now it's time to honor you. If something feels wrong, if something doesn't align with your core values, say no. Learn to say no. Rather than give your soul, your energy, your spirit, your kindness to everybody and anybody, start protecting you. And again, same as the first part and the second part, have empathy for yourself at all times. We give our empathy to everybody except ourselves. In fact, we do the opposite. We beat ourselves up. We punish ourselves. And if we were a best friend, we would be gentle with our soul. We would be nurturing, caring, understanding, forgiving. So do that to yourself as you honor thyself. So again, allow yourself to grieve. Get to know yourself again. Truly get to know yourself. Then honor thyself. And the other part of honoring thyself is taking accountability for the part that you played. During the grieving phase, it was blame, blame, blame. What they did. And now, in honoring thyself, you take ownership of who you are. You take ownership of what you did, what you didn't do, what you knew, what you didn't know. You take ownership. And that is empowering. It elevates your self-worth. Because I know who I am and I'm going to protect it. So I hope that this has helped. Again, if you're in the grieving phase, the Grief Recovery Handbook, it's a really, really good, powerful book. I read it again 3 times. I read it several years into my journey of recovery. And the first time that I read it, I was incapable of absorbing anything. I was blinded by my anger. The second time that I read it, I started to see, yes, and I was able to implement lessons. And then I read it again about 3-4 months ago to see how far I'd grown. And now it all made sense. And the best part about healing and recovery is you go through this excruciatingly painful journey and you feel the changes. You can start looking back and being, wow, that's who I used to be. That's who I'm becoming now. And you can start looking forward. And when you ultimately reach this place of empowerment, of feeling confident and conscious in owning your empath soul, that is such a beautiful, beautiful feeling to experience. And I hope you get there very, very quickly. If I can help you along that journey as a coach, please reach out, connect with me. I'd love to set up a discovery session so that I can accommodate my practices and my services to fit your very specific needs, objectives, and hopefully we can travel the journey together and get you there more quickly than if you did it alone. That was one of the things that I regret, is that I didn't get a coach. I thought that I could do it all myself, and eventually I did, but it took longer. What a coach will do, it will guide you, it will encourage you, it will give you action steps to get you from A to Z much more effectively, much more efficiently. Check out my page, my website at vitalgermain.com for my coaching packages. Thank you for joining me.